Hello and good evening. This is your boy Vaughn B, and this is the UN podcast. Tonight I am flying solo. So it's been a long day, so I'm not sure how long I'm going to be doing this. But you gotta trying to keep a schedule, keep doing it. Like we reached 102 episodes, I guess. So I've been doing this for a while now. So all right. My topics for today, we got some DC news. We have a brief Alien Earth review. Uh, Not much to talk about, and how much there is an article about AI and the world of animation, and they break down how different positions are going to be affected. So that I am kind of interested in because like I am interested in animation. So I'm going to read that article, and apparently Seth Rogan is going to reboot the Muppets. That is not something that I am looking forward to in any capacity, but that goes hand in hand with how everything in Hollywood has been going over the last few years or so. So I'm not exactly surprised. But as far as Alien Earth goes, someone who described the episode as they interrupt a bunch of people I don't care about to show me a bunch of other people that I don't care about. And that is this episode in a nutshell. Yeah. I don't know. It wasn't bad enough to tell people to not go see it, but it's not great. And that seems to be the thing with a lot of stuff is like it's just kind of like uh but this is the flashback episode, so you guys actually got to see what happened on the ship before Morrow escaped. And it is run by a bunch of idiotic people who do very silly things throughout the entire episode. They have a second in command that nobody respects. I'm not sure why the writers felt the need to write her that way. It, like I don't really understand that. Typically, the XO is the person, excuse me, that the crew goes to discuss stuff. Like the captain has to worry about doing captain stuff. So typically you would go talk to the XO about things. So you would be familiar with this particular person. And unless they're a complete jerk, you would genuinely like them. And because you like them, you would respect them, especially when something goes wrong. Because you like them, you would do what you need to do to make sure everything goes fine. Like, or is if the captain gets incapacitated, and what happens is the captain gets one of the face suckers on him, and as the idiotic scientists try to get the thing off, they cut it, it bleeds out, and the xenomorphs have acid for blood, and you can pretty much tell what happened after they did that. The other person who had the face sucker on him was a person that the executive officer was having relations with. Again, she should know better than this. There's not that many people on this ship. They are on a very long journey. The last thing you need is her getting busy with one of the crew, because her decisions that she makes is and it's pretty much instantaneous. The decisions that she makes is based off of how she feels about this guy. So she kind of follows the rules, but kind of not. So it just turns into a thing. They wake up Morrow. He comes out. He's upset that sorry, he got woken up before he was supposed to. He's walking around in his underwear, and this is the first instance of showing that the crew has zero respect for her, the XO, like none. She mentions that he's in his underwear. He kind of blows her off and tells her later, because he kind of knows that she cannot handle this, that he's going to take over. He doesn't do that because I guess he has some respect for her, but yeah, it just leads to a bunch of stuff. And the thing that amazes me the most is the decisions that gets made. I'm not gonna really go into detail because if you kind of want to watch the episode, I don't wanna talk about the whole thing, but you should go check it out. But I'm kind of getting tired of science fiction writers not understanding how science works, like in any capacity. And they make these decisions based on, like, I guess sounded cool, and then they wrote it out. So this ship is on a 65-year mission. Why? I don't know. At some point, maybe they'll explain why they sent this ship out on a 65-year mission. If you think about what life was like 65 years ago, 2025 now, you're looking at 1960. What people needed in 1960 is not exactly the same thing that they need today. So that means about they send the ship out to collect specimens and whatever, and I guess they're gonna study them or whatever. So on their way back, the person in charge of Wayland Utani is the granddaughter of the person who sent the mission out. So it's like I don't get that, and I'm trying to figure this aliens world out in general. Because a lot of stuff, if you really think about it, even with the movies, I love aliens too, and like once you get past that and you think about all the decisions that were made in these movies, it's dumb. It's all kinds of dumb. Like they don't have fast. They don't seem to have faster than light travel. They have, I guess, they can go a certain speed, but they're going slow enough where they need to put people in hibernation. Depending on how far you go, it could take you years to get there. If you have a colony, that means you're out of touch with the colony. And because by the time you can get anybody to help out or send supply or whatever you need to do, whatever issue that they have is is long gone. Everybody's probably gone, just like when they went out in Aliens too. So that's why it makes no sense to send someone out on a 65-year mission to collect what? Like they don't exactly tell you where they got these things from. So you don't exactly know how far they went. And they're the mix of technology because they're trying to hold on to the aesthetic of the 70s. So everything looks like it's in the 70s. So they have dot matrix printers and all that kind of stuff. All right. But they also have no lag communication between the ship and the earth. All right. Because you get to find out why Morrow really dislikes Prodigy, right? It's an actual vendetta type thing because you find out that the again 65-year journey. The young trillionaire dude is in his 30s. That means that his dad was probably a kid when this ship left. Well, how would he get in contact with anybody on the ship? I don't know. He got in contact with somebody on ship. The guy sabotages the ship. Okay, if the way the technology works, I get the example I'll give. The way technology works in Star Trek is basically magic. Gene Roddenberry didn't explain anything. It just works. It's like transporters. How the transporters works, don't know. Don't say it. It just works. Like the warp drive and how they go, like their basic speeds and all that stuff. But the way it works and the way that it functions for it seems to function for in the aliens universe, you can only go so fast. All right. If you don't, if you can't figure out a way, that's why I said it's magic in Star Trek, because they go faster than light and interdimension is like dimensional type stuff. It's like a whole thing. So if they're not doing that, and if they're just traveling by rockets or regular engines, then they're not going into another thing where they're going faster than light. It would take you an ungodly amount of time to get someplace. One, two, the closer you get to the speed of light, time does weird stuff. So Like if they were traveling fast enough and basically maybe say 65 years, so say they would take them, say they're going to a planet that is about 32 32 light years away. So it would take them 32 years to get there. The amount of time on the ship would probably be 15 years or something like that. So I can see them hibernating through some of that. The problem is while it's only the clocks inside the ship are only like 15 years there and 15 years back, you know, 65 years would have passed. So they wouldn't age. There's just a lot of stuff that would happen. So and as you're going that fast, there would be no way for any kind of radio signal or whatever to be able to be sent to you. Because one, if they're trying to get in contact with you, the closer you get to your place, the farther you are away, the harder it would be to send a signal there. Now, if they had a relay, like you would have to lay a relay system to you to the planet or whatever that you're going through. So it means you would have to have actually been there to it. And this is what I mean about the science of stuff. You can't just say that they just have communications and at the same time have information pass through dot matrix and have the ship somehow is in communication. I'm like, I don't know how the person who wrote this has no clue how any of this actually works. They're just writing stuff down. So the young dude, like I said, the young dude is having a straight up conversation back and forth between himself and a person on the ship. Enough where he can convince them to sabotage stuff so he can uh, give him money or whatever the thing is. It sounded like he was offering immortality because of the stuff that, like, again, 60, like 6 decades would have passed when this dude left. The world makes zero sense. Everybody makes dumb decisions. The science stuff is studying creature that they don't understand, and they're doing it kind of laissez-faire kind of deal. You've already indicated that they lost a large chunk of their crew trying to collect these things. So it means it's extremely dangerous. One of the scientist lady is doing experiments in the lab basically by herself. Every now and then the French dude or whatever he is would show up. There'd be two of them. You already know that these things that you are studying are carnivores, and that goes into a whole nother thing about when it comes to science, because you're going to a different planet with different levels of oxygen and nitrogen and various other things. The odds that the creatures that you brought back would be able to survive without any issue in on your planet, when on a planet that they didn't evolve in, is astronomical. It's like insane. But somehow all the creatures can survive in Earth's atmosphere. How that is, don't know. I don't think the person who wrote that even thought about that. Two, they originated on a different planet. So therefore, how they're put together and how they're made are different. So would they be able to even digest things from Earth? Would you even be able to digest or get sick by creatures from another planet? Because the viruses they would have and various other things may or may not affect you. And this is the kind of thing that you kind of think about when you write stuff. So this is why I even though there's a lot of stupidity in it, I give props to the latest Jurassic Park movie, because they finally figured out after doing it, after the Chris Pratt ones and coming into this one, that the dinosaurs were created in a time period where the amount of oxygen in the air was different millions of years ago. It's just how everything was more. I don't know. I don't remember if it was more oxygen. It might have been more oxygen, but the mixture was different. So therefore, they would have a hard time surviving now, especially with all the extra stuff we have in the air and like whatever. So they said that they're dying out. Now, the person who wrote that, I'm not sure if they were just trying to get out of the hole that they dug in the Chris Pratt ones, where you had all these dinosaurs running around and none of the government seemed to care. But that still fixed the problem that you had from the previous ones. At least somebody thought about the science of it as you're writing science fiction. Alien, no thought whatsoever. So somehow all these creatures that they got from all over the place can survive perfectly fine in Earth atmosphere. I'm like, okay, you found another planet that's similar to Earth, where you probably should put a colony there. To be honest, if you just find one that's super close to where Earth is, that's amazing. Because I can't imagine they would without any access to how they go. And which I'm not sure exactly how they travel, but that's just like one of many, many, many things that kind of bother me. Is because if you are accelerating to a certain amount of speed, there's no friction in space. So therefore, you will continue at that speed until you reverse your ship, boost so that you slow down and eventually stop. So they gave no indication of they did that. So they're trying to like during one of the discussions is they're trying to do gyrosynchronous orbit around Earth. You have to slow down for that because Earth is traveling at a certain speed. You need to hit it at a certain speed so that one, you won't just bounce off the atmosphere and just like you need to be going just fast enough for the Earth to catch you in its gravity. If you're going too fast, then you'll just right past. If you're going too slow, it may pull you the Earth may pull you into the planet and you won't go around the planet like you're trying to do. The person who sabotaged the ship is the only reason that Morrow is awake. I think messed up the means to do that. They are 17 days away out from Earth. At least that's what they showed you. What does that mean? I don't know. I don't have no idea how close that is. They could be within because I think it took like a month or something, a couple of months, a month or so to get to Mars. So that distance could be anywhere between the distance of Mars, sort of reasonably close, or they're traveling a certain amount. It depends on how fast they're going. So this is like it's just so much stuff. And the one of the scientists said something that was very pertinent to this show, and it was just like the people who designed this beautiful ship that goes as fast as it goes were super smart to do that, but so dumb that they're bringing parasitic organisms back to Earth. So it's just a lot of stuff. But overall, it's not horrible. I've seen worse. Like I've seen worse stuff. So it's not horrible. Would I recommend this series to anybody who didn't have to watch it for whatever reason? Not really. Like I couldn't tell people to watch this show. But it's not, it's not as bad as a lot of stuff that's been on TV in the last 2 years. So, all right, that's basically my review of it. It's another meh experience. I guess we go back to the robot kids next week, I guess. And supposedly there are 2 episodes left. I'm trying to figure out where they're at in the story because there's it doesn't feel like they're heading into a climax for this season. It just kind of feel like it's another episode. Like feels like we're at the beginning of a 22. You know how science fiction shows used to be like 24 episodes. So it kind of feels like we're in the first 10, no, first 8 or so of the season, and you still have like 12 left. So you're heading into your midway point. That's what it kind of feels like. It doesn't feel like we're getting towards the end of this season. So, all right. That's enough of that. I do want to talk about the thing that I saw on cartoon brew though. Like I said, I'm a little tired, so I don't know exactly how long I'm gonna go today since I'm doing this on my lonesome. Where is a oh, there we go. All right, let's make sure you can see there. All right. Animation jobs in the age of AI revelations from Luminate Intelligence 2025 special report. Okay. The animation industry has always been labor intensive, which is going to change from AI because it can do a lot of the minutia work. Sorry. It's going to be a lot of people out of work, but that's how technology works, you know. Now, a new technological shift, generative AI, Gen AI, is sparking debate on about whether the next decade will expand or shrink opportunities for people working in the field. I think it will be a combination of the two of them. One, it will shrink certain things and open up a different type of thing. Now, you won't need as many people, one, but they're gonna need certain folks who can work with the computer because I'm still trying to get a handle on doing prompts, and every time I do a prompt, I can get sort of what I want. It's like 75%. Sometimes I can get 80%, but it's not exactly what I want. And as until I learn how to do it better, repeating things. So I can get it to make something, but if I wanted to make 5 different versions of that same thing, but only slightly different, I haven't figured out. I know it's possible because I've seen people do certain things, but so far, what I've been doing, eh, I can't really get it to repeat. I can get close, but not exactly. It's like you get a certain look on something, and you wanted to like you can have an artist draw you a picture of something, draw you 5 different versions. You pick the one that you like and have them go and elaborate on the one. So this is the direction I want you to go in. I want different versions of this particular one. You can tell that to a person and they'll be able to get it. I haven't figured out yet how to get the AI to do that. I can get a lot of pictures of stuff that's close, but not precisely. So I think at some point they're gonna is a bunch of other types of jobs are gonna be created. What they are right now, I don't know. It's just like when the car came in, they thought one thing, but it opened up a bunch of other different types of jobs. So, like I said, it's going to be a mixture of the two. All right, Andre's Schomer's animation plus AI 21 special report, blah blah blah. In depth look at the job outlook, artist concerns, and possible middle path for animation work in the AI area. Below, we provide a brief overview and a few key takeaways from the study. But the full report is like, okay. Decade of upheaval animation employment. Past 5 years, animators weathered turbulence. The pandemic brought a temporary boom as studios leaned on animation when live action stalled. But when the streaming bubble burst, layoffs hit hard. Pixar, DreamWorks, Netflix, Paramount, yada, 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 trimmed animation teams. It did not help that a lot of people that they hired couldn't figure out how to make charming characters. So think about it. How many characters, like most of the characters that your normal person recognizes, they're pretty much 60, 70 years old. This is something that somebody made in the 60s, the 50s, and the 40s, and all that stuff. There's a handful in the 90s. There's a handful in the 2000s in comparison. Last 5 years, nothing. No, like think about all the movies that came out. Nothing memorable, right? Uh, if you think about like the Incredibles that came out before, Frozen came out before, so Toy Story, yeah, like all the ones you will probably like think about came out previous to the last 5 years, like the COVID era, pandemic era. So a lot of people you hired could not do that, and they had actually, which is hilarious to me, They had actual disdain for the older generation of animators, so they didn't want to listen to them. They maneuvered them out of the place. I've heard stories about they're putting these people who did Aladdin and all these other different animations to the side for all these new people because the new people didn't want to listen to them because they were old white men or whatever the thing is. So, but that is how information is passed from the master to the apprentice. But when the apprentice doesn't want to listen to the master, and just like on some Anakin type stuff, like I'm the master now. Well, apparently you weren't. So I think Disney is looking to get some of these guys back into the fold to help these people actually learn how to make animation that people actually want to care about. It's like last week I showed off the two books, The Illusions of Life and The Nine Old Men, that I have that are based on the original animators at Disney. They figured out how to make animals charming, how to make movies charming so that they are memorable and stick with people. Like, so basically, Disney actually wrote a book on how to do that, which apparently none of the people who worked there actually read. Okay. The downturn, new opportunities emerge in anime production, adult animation, global markets like China, India. Yeah, for people in China and India and Japan. Yet the workforce remains strained by shifting business models and shrinking budgets. They probably started spending too much money on this stuff, which is crazy to me, is because all the technology is better, so it should be cheaper. I don't know why the cost went up because everything is cheaper. Like I think Maya is probably cheaper. It used to be like $10,000 or something like that. And I think when I bought a copy of it, and this was good 15, 16 years ago, like $2,000. It went from like 10,000 to two. So it has to have gotten cheaper. Generative and future animation at work. Generative AI has quickly become the most controversial topics in the history of animation employment. To executives, the technology promises to speed up production. Yeah, because it eliminates a lot of grunt work. Problem is, like I said before, it is, from what I can see, difficult for this thing to replicate the one thing you need. It's like it gets close, and sometimes you can wind up with a happy accident, and then that's what sucks is like you get a happy accident, but then it has trouble. It seems to me, now this may or may not be true. It seems to have an issue with replicating it. So, survey data from the Harris X in 2024 emphasizes anxiety. 55% of entertainment workers believe animators will face a major impact from AI within 2 years. Yeah, I can see that. 50% expect virtual effects artists to be heavily affected. I can see that. Game developers, 43% for game developers, 41% of voice actors. Yeah, when you can basically copy James Earl Jones's voice and have it in real time, have conversations with people. So that means you don't really need someone to pretend to be James Earl Jones in order to do the next Star Wars movie. You can get something that sounds exactly like James Earl Jones. So, excuse me. So I can see that. And by contract, 16% of makeup artists have an issue with AI. That'd be weird. In other words, the roles central to animation pipelines, animated storyboard artists, concept designers are viewed most at risk. So there's a survey. So there's a major impact, minor impact, no impact, don't know. So it's 55% major, 29 minor, 10 no impact, and 6% I don't know. And it goes directors. So camera operators. It depends on how much CG you're using, but at some point they're gonna start making drones for camera work because cameras are small now. The microphones are small now, so they'll be able to, if they can figure out a way to make it float or move around without generating too much noise, then yeah, then that will actually make this flip a little bit. So yeah, it shouldn't affect set design too much unless the person designing it, yes. The person building it, no. Sound designer, yeah. Cinematographer, like most of these are going to be for the minutia type stuff. Creative labor debate. One of the most pressing concerns amongst artists is replication of styles. Nearly half of AI users surveyed admitted that they have used tools to mimic the work of special creators or studios, from Shakespearean writing prompts to Studio Ghibli inspired imagery. For concept artists who often design worlds, characters, tones before production begins, this represents lost work and potential eraser of their craft. But this goes back to what I was saying before is on the one hand, like I got a bunch of ideas for stories and whatnot. So on the one hand, I can work through fine tuning what I'm looking for, right? So I can get a general idea and have a visual of what I'm looking for. I would still would rather use that at the beginning and then take once I get a general idea of like the realm that I'm looking for, take all of that imagery, show it to a actual artist, and have them say, "This is what." Instead of me having to describe it, I can show you. Now, I don't want you to copy what I've done. I want you to make like what I'm showing you in your own way. But this will give you an idea of what I'm looking for. So there would still it would it would still be some place for the person to for the character creator and all that stuff to come up with the idea because I as a story the person who has a story I can get the visual that I have in my head out so that you can see what I'm talking about. But you can still rely on a person to give you an overall look you want for your thing. So because then that person can interpret what you're trying to do. So instead of you drawing like a stick figure or whatever, you can have the AI create something that close. Like I said, it can get close. It doesn't, it's not exactly. Because then once you fine tune something, then you can make variations of the same thing. And then you and another person could go the other 30 like the AI would do probably 50% of the work, I guess. And then the last little polishing and getting exactly what you want, I would rather work with a human being for that. So Gen AIs who use AI to replicate art styles, any form of writing. Okay. Looks like Gen Z is 40, millennial, Gen X, boomers. Then it goes into how much money that they make per year. So it seems like the most money, the more money you make, that's it's weird. It's like how it dips here, but it's so all right. So this is the image, millennials. So the younger folks, yeah, and it's the same thing. It's like the more money that they make, the more that they use. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, same thing. For some reason, the millennials, in terms of music, are a bit more. That's crazy. All right. Despite fears, the report it stresses the AI's future in animation is not all or nothing. Argues that a middle path is beginning to take shape. Like I said, with the coming making ideas of what my characters and my story look like. I wouldn't want to rely on this because I already know that this is a combination of a bunch of people's art. So I would never actually try to use, for the most part, like use for pay, right? Making thumbnails and stuff like that's different. I think that's different. But I also would because it's hard to get like a style because it's such a hit or miss thing. But yeah, I would a little bit of a lot of the beginning grunt work of me trying to figure out what I want this character to look like, and I'm just getting a visual of it out of my head to give to someone else to finish it off. So yes, the character artist would lose out on me trying to explain it to them the beginning part, so they would lose out that part of the process. But I think it would allow more people. And funny, I just had a conversation with somebody about this. Is because of the lack of gatekeeping on a lot of things, we're getting an overabundance of stuff. So, depending on like creative stuff, it's like there was probably like a threshold that we should have stayed at in terms of having better product. But now anybody and grandma can do stuff. So even so, you get a lot of stuff to shift through to find stuff that you like. So it's just you go off in one direction, you fix stuff, causes more issues. So assistive AI tools will automate repetitive or technical steps such as coloring, in betweening, and pre visualization. Yeah, I can see that. Hybrid workflows can combine human directed CGI with AI generated imagery, preserving creative intent while reducing drudge work. And that's basically what I was describing. New job categories are emerging, including AI workflow designers, data ethicists, okay, and prompt animators who specialize in directing models to achieve desired results. Startups like Animage and Toonstar are already utilizing these workflows. Pocoyo Studio, Animage claims its proprietary AI tools can cut production time by 85% with human animators refining the final look. Yeah, that's basically what I was describing. Because the person who wrote the story has a general idea. I'm like, unless they're an actual artist where they can draw it, like, and not everybody has drawing skills, but you can describe what you want using verbiage to get the AI to give you a general idea of what you're looking for. So therefore, you can actually give it to somebody. And I know I'm repeating myself, but to give it to someone so that they can finish, like, take it over and finish up. As long as you stipulate to not use this source material for that. So Netflix recently published its own guidelines regarding the use of generative AI, and its partners working on original content for the streamer. Okay, leadership, ownership, bro. Okay. What they give me? All right. Risk for career development, according to the study, one overlooked consequence of potential erosion of entry level positions. Yeah, so that's the when they talk about the grunt work, that's what they talk about. But the thing about that is that gets your foot in the door, gives you a pretty good understanding of how everything works because you're starting from the bottom. So it's like, yeah, that's gotta be kind of rough, but it could, oh, it can go, it can create something completely different. So you never know. You never know how this stuff is going to work itself out. Precarious but promising future. The report concludes that jobs in animation will not vanish; they will certainly change. Studios, unions, and artists are still debating whether to draw the line between automation and human-made artistry. And the study says it would depend on legal frameworks, around consent, and compensation for training data, adoption of ethical AI models that avoid scraping copyrighted works, and investment in reskilling animators to adapt to new hybrid workflows. This is, I think, it will be more important for the person who is a animator to understand the future and to get ahead of this. I think this is where the issue is like you get a lot of people who who are used to doing things a certain way, don't really want to change. But like they probably have more people drawing 2D animation. Now a lot of stuff is being done on the computer. So it's like you have to adapt or die. That's just kind of way the world works. Future many jobs animation hinge on whether AI becomes a tool that empowers animators or wedge that diminishes others. As Schumer notes, the industry's choice is not whether to adopt AI, but how. The coming years will define whether animation remains a craft-driven medium supported by skilled workers or shifts towards a good enough industry driven by algorithms and efficiency. If they go their route, that will basically kill anything new created. We already have an issue now where not too much new stuff is created. Like I said before, can you think of anything that has been created in the last 5 years that would endure? I can't think of anything. It seems like most things, what happens is they come up, they get super popular, and they go away. Like nothing has any staying power. Like K-pop Demon Slayer. is in the zeitgeist at this moment. Will it be next year? I don't know. So should be interesting. All right. Let's talk about that. Share my screen. All right. So yesterday, James Gunn announced plans for his next DC Studios movie, Man of Tomorrow. In this feature, we're rounding up all the characters confirmed and rumored to be appear in the Superman follow-up. So the next one is going to be a group thing as well, and not focus on Superman. Great. Okay. It's apparently not a sequel. Arrives in theaters July 9th, 2027. Teaser already confirmed they will feature Superman with war suit wearing Lex Luthor, but that's it for now. A few actors and characters have been confirmed for the DCU movie, while several others have been rumored as a result. This project has already boasts an impressive cast, and we're recapping everything we know so far for you in one place. So it's David Corn Sweat, Superman. Okay, Hawkgirl gonna be in it. John Stewart is rumored. Peacemaker is rumored. Lobo is rumored. X, because you already put him on the cover. Supergirl is rumored. Well, Lois Lane kind of has to be in this because it's part of Superman's thing. Jimmy Olsen is confirmed. So, how would you have Jimmy Olsen without Lois Lane? That'd be very weird. And Brainiac is rumored. Yeah. Okay. So it's odd that they don't have him, which is Mr. Terrific, because he, if I understand it correctly, he signed a contract to do more stuff. So I wonder if that's going to be like TV shows and whatever. Him, it probably greatly depends on how they do his character. He like Lobo is good for coming in and coming out. He isn't from what I remember of DC, because it's been a while since I've checked it out. Lobo is kind of a come in, come out kind of character. It's not like a cash register, like or cash regular register. Because Lobo's a bit much. So Peacemaker is they don't have Guy Gardner though, which is all right. It's believed that Kyle Chandler's turn is how Jordan will be a one and done with the Lantern. DC Studios plans to focus primarily on John Stewart. What Aaron Pierre expected to be Earth's main Green Lantern, the actor commented on Gunn's post. While he may have only been expressing excitement, it makes sense to give John a spotlight in theaters with Man of Tomorrow. Yeah, I can see that because for a large chunk of the fan base, uh, John Stewart is the Green Lantern. That's why when Ryan Reynolds did his Green Lantern movie, people were shocked because a large number of people, millennials, they grew up on Justice League, and in Justice League, the Green Lantern was John Stewart, not Hal Jordan. Now, Hal Jordan showed up later, but in a lot of people's minds, he is the Green Lantern for Earth. So it's like it's weird. I get why he did it for with Guy Gardner. I don't know why I guess he didn't want to use Hal Jordan or John Stewart because of the TV show and all that stuff, but I don't know. It just seems like a cluster of as per usual, like so much stuff now. It's just so much crap. So there is another story about dynamic duo. Okay, make sure I got that. It's an impressive new writing team, new story details revealed for Elseworlds movie. So it's not going to be mainline. Cosio, Peter Gunn is Peter Sheffrin. No, James Gunn. Have repeatedly said that they want to tell as many different types of stories in and around the DCU as possible. Amongst the most intriguing are Swaybox's animated. Oh, so this is the animation thing. Announced last October, the movie is expected to be as big game changer for DC animation as Spaceman. I am super tired. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was from Marvel and Sony. New writing duo has been tapped to rewrite the script. According to the rap, these two got Newt Stander and Michael H. Weber. I'm terrible with names. I work in Dynamic New is writing team is best known for Mark Webb's in addition trade combination of miniatures, models, puppetry, animatronics, and computer animation. It will revolve around Dick Grayson and Jason Todd, who are both taking on the mantle of Robin as Batman's sidekick in this story, and a major departure from the comic book. So you'll likely be relieved to learn that the dynamic duo will take place in a separate timeline from his films, according to Robert Pattinson, as we understand it, outside of the current DC universe canon. Makes more sense treating this as a prequel to The Brave and the Bold, a movie expected to revolve around Bruce Wayne training his son Damian as Robin, and itself suggests the Batman's already protected Gotham City amongst Jason and Tim. The comics, all right, they may be a way to make dynamic duo canon. This might be a way to fit into the DCU. I love this animated puppet movie to be part of the DCU is really appealing to me, but the story is unique, so it may not work within our universe. See, that's having James Gunn be control of DC is not a good idea. Of Marvel and DC, DC is the more straight laced, clear cut like stuff, like a comic book, and they have some fantastical elements, but not as much as Marvel. Like Marvel is all over the place. Like their cosmic stuff, they have cosmic elements, but it's no. Even that stuff, like with Dark Side and all that, is still more straightforward than Marvel's stuff is, because Marvel just branches off into this all kind of crazy stuff. And having someone who likes all the crazy stuff be in charge of a super straightforward comic series is, yeah, I don't think that's going to work in the long run, because he keeps talking about weird like puppets, and I'm like, dude, what he should do, because you have decided to make your Superman year 3. He's mid to late 20s Superman. Robert Pattinson, his character, second year, third year, for whatever, same age, because Batman and Superman are literally the same age. Use it literally correctly, but they're the same age. So just make the Batman canon. I had a discussion with a friend of mine about this. He don't really like that, but I'm like, dude, it would make more sense if you just made the Batman canon. Then way you can tie into the success of the Penguin. You can introduce his rogues gallery through the movies. The way that Batman interacts with the rest of the universe is not normally in Gotham. It's when they're off in other places. Like typically, Batman doesn't like when the rest of them show up in Gotham, because it messes everything up for him and all his well laid plans. So you don't have to show. So that's your reasoning for why stuff happens, but nobody else shows up, because Batman wouldn't really appreciate it if they did. And he has such a large bat family at this point. He has basically his own super team, like four adopted sons, his own regular son. Then he got, like, I don't know where Duke comes in, because he's not an adoptive son, but he kind of fits into the bat family. Then you got Sandra Kane. She's kind of adopted thing, and Barbara Gordon and Stephanie Brown and so on and so forth. So yeah, he has his own super team of vigilante, street level vigilante characters. Then you get into his rogues gallery. So there's enough in the Batman universe for him to maintain the Batman movies and have stuff about Superman or whatever be on a peripheral. But you can still separate it, because there wouldn't be that much crossover. It's like Superman shows up in Gotham to bother Bruce, basically. That's basically what he does, because they're friends. Now you can have them bump heads because they're both trying to figure out how to be their respective heroes, but they can bump heads at the beginning because they're both young, and eventually they grow to respect each other. So you already got that in place. I don't know why he insists on trying to do his own thing. It's just gonna cause confusion. Yeah, I think that is what he instead of making it an Elseworld, he should just make it part of the universe. But I, to me, that makes too much sense. So he's probably not going to do that. Alrighty. I was going to talk about Lovecraft, but that's going to be a DOA thing because the person who wrote it is yeah. Let's look at this picture that yeah, like look at this picture. Even this this right here is a toned down version of Laura Croft. Even this is she has more curves than she does. I have almost no interest in her playing Laura Croft. Like none. Zero. She has given me no indication of her being charismatic enough to be Laura Croft. Even the fact that they have butchered that character and all the ways that they butchered her from physically and how she acts and her terms of her sexuality, all that stuff. And I can't imagine the person who helped destroy like the final Indiana Jones movie is gonna do anything that's going to encourage the male gaze in Tomb Raider. They could like the first two games of the reboot had a nice story. They could have made a movie about them, but they decided to reinterpret the story already, change stuff about Laura Croft even more, and so the story like it didn't really take off. So I have no hopes for this like at all. So, all right, we're going to end this talking about Seth Rogen and how he's probably going to butcher the Muppets. Let me clear some of this stuff out first. All right, so let's share this and read this and head out. All right, so this is a rumor. Make sure it pops up. Okay. Seth Rogen tapped to produce Muppet Show pilot at Fox and other beloved class in crosshairs. He has shown that he doesn't care about what the fan base would want. It's how what he did with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. No, the turtle designs I like. I hated what he did with April. I don't know why he changed that. And they got this goofy thing now. If one of these friggin' people in Hollywood race swaps a character, they not only do they try to keep it that way because I think in the next version of the teenage like another cartoon or whatever, the kid that it was like a younger version of April and she was black too. So it's like one of them do this, and regardless of what the pushback on it is or anything like that, they don't seem to care. They just want to do that. They don't want to create black characters. They just want to take white characters and make them into black people and pat themselves on the back, like act like they did something when they did not. So I can't imagine him not doing that. What he's gonna do, I don't know. Muppets can't seem to catch a break, according to multiple outlets. The pilot for the Muppet Show is reportedly in the works at Fox. The kicker, Seth Rogen, is said to be attached producer to the Muppet Show, alongside his Point Grey Pictures partner Evan Goldberg. On paper, it sounds like another attempt to revive Jensen Henson's most iconic creation. In reality, the fans have every reason to be wary because Rogen's track record with classic franchises isn't exactly confidence inspiring. What's being reported on the Seth Rogen Muppet Show, the rumors stems from an industry forum dated September 1st, which listed the Muppet Show pilot in development. Pilot is said to be shooting in Los Angeles this month, with Alex Timbers, known from Moulin Rouge, the musical, attached to direct. Well, there's a lot of singing and the Muppets. So, okay, I'll give you that. Moulin Rouge, though, I'm like, okay. Other names tied to the project include Michael Steinbach, Muppet Studios, Jim Henson's company, and 20th Television, former 20th Century Fox Television. Usually use the platform. Fox Disney owns the Muppets and typically keeps them in-house for ABC Plus or ABC. If true, this will mark a curious departure and puzzling one considering Disney has struggled to make its own Muppet content stick. For now, Disney hasn't confirmed anything, neither has Rogan, but the rumor has picked up across multiple outlets, from Tough Pigs to Mikey Blog. All or nothing is official. Yeah. Oh, all noting that nothing is official. Okay. So they're just talking about how he's wrecked. Well, not wrecked, but have not been a good thing for many different types of characters. Green Hornet and the Ninja Turtles came out 2 years ago. Bold new vision for the Turtles, leaned heavily into Rogan's brand of awkward juvenile humor. All praised by some critics, the movie underperformed financially and left a long time TNT fans cold. Merchandise sales also failed to spark a resurgence for the franchise. You have a track record of what your customer base wants. And this, what is amazing to me, just keeps happening over and over again. You know what your customers want. And this applies to everything else in Hollywood. You know what they want. You refuse to give it to them because you want them to want something different. And that's not working. Regardless to how much you are trying over and over again with various different IPs, it doesn't work because people want what they want. They don't really care what you think they should want. So if you're going to do fine when the Muppets was popular, why and figure out why it was popular and do that. If you're gonna like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it was very popular at one point. Figure out that. You can do like it doesn't. You can still do reimaginings because there's a book out where one of the turtles, like all his other brothers, have passed on, and he is fighting against Splinter by himself, and it's a very good story. You find, and especially when you find, I'm not gonna tell you who he is, but which one it is. But when you find out, it's like it's pretty cool. It's super tragic about because you also find out what happened to his brothers and all that stuff. But you can take things in a different direction, your customer base would still like it because the characters fit the overall arc. Like it's not a departure. You're not race changing or doing whatever. So that would be my advice to Hollywood. Figure out what your customers want and try to give it to them. Because every time you do, it makes a lot of money. Yet you keep hiring people who don't care about making money. You keep talking about some mythical audience that does not exist. Okay, the Muppets Rocky reboot history. Okay, canceled after one season. Muppets Now, short-lived sketch series they failed to make any waves. Okay. Tone class, the Muppets are chaotic but warm. Rogan is chaotic but crude. The overlap is minimal. Track record, Rogan has already proven he doesn't know how to shepherd classic franchises back to glory. Fox connection, why would Disney shop the Muppets out to Fox instead of trying it again in-house? The move is just a lack of confidence and desperation. So it just, yeah. I don't know. It seems like this is just gonna be the same thing that keeps happening over and over and over again. But I just earlier was talking about like gatekeeping, and so AI is going to allow more and more people to create their vision. So I'm hoping that because you still need to learn how to figure out how to use it properly, and as of now the AI is not as intuitive as they would like. So you would still need to have some semblance of talent to be able to get anything useful out of it. Hopefully that'll be enough of a gatekeep to keep some of the crud that's going to happen. Because soon as Amazon allow people to self-publish, their store is flooded with like really bad books, bad science fiction books, bad romance books, bad adventure books, bad stuff that you got to just dig through to get to anything that's good. I hope that is not what happened with movies and whatnot when it comes to animation. So I don't know. All right, well, On that note, I went along longer than I thought I was. All right. If you made it to the end, thank you. Listening to me ramble on and whatnot. Please like, share, and subscribe, and come back at some point. I would like to have conversations with folks that would actually make this a little bit more fun. All right. So later.